If you thought last season was deep,
You haven't heard anything yet.
this is Boots to Boots.
The moments where everything you thought you knew about yourself changes.
Because this is the stuff no one wants to talk about.
But it's what needs to be talked about.
Healing doesn't happen alone.
It happens through shared experiences.
So lace up your boots.
Join the conversation.
We'll be talking to you. We're back
That's
again.
like your favorite saying to go with. That's the theme this year.
Well, we got 6 episodes in and had to take a break.
Yes.
So we are back.
Unfortunately, just because of scheduling and family obligations. And
We have had a crazy 3 weeks since we've last talked to you all. Yeah. Honestly, the break was kind of my fault. My best friend had a baby. And her mom was supposed to come help the first week. Mm-hmm. She also has a toddler, so she was panicking, like, I'm going to have 2 babies. And, her mom couldn't come. She asked me to come. And that's not my best friend. That's my sister.
you're a good aunt.
And I'm the greatest aunt. We have a million nieces and nephews.
We do?
I had such a great week. And I got all the baby snugs,
Yes, you did.
My sweet little Colson boy. So honestly, the first week break was my fault because I went there and didn't tell Chuck. And Chuck was like, so we're filming on Tuesday? And I was like, fuck. No.
Second week was life's fault. Things happened. My grandmother passed away. My grandmother, Agnes, who's the one that got me into pro wrestling as a kid.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Because it was, I think, heavy on a bunch of different levels. Yes, she got you into wrestling, but it was also, like, seeing her grave, which is also your dad's.
And my grandfather's.
And your grandfather's. And so, talk to us about that.
No, it was good for you to meet my aunt and my uncles and my cousins too, which was nice. You get to meet that side of my family because I'm kind of disconnected from that side of my family.
Yeah.
The Cooper side of things. But to be able to obviously have my moment to say goodbye to my grandmother. Like I said, she's the one that got me into pro wrestling. When mom and dad were working night and day shift, mom was nursing and dad was working out Medica. I had my time with my grandmother and my grandfather, and they loved pro wrestling. And her favorite was Roddy Piper and Andre the Giant. And so it's very much for me a goal of mine to get like that Roddy Piper entrance at some point in my career, to pay homage to her for that, but then also pay homage to Roddy Piper. But I remember sitting downstairs with them on their porch, and the TV was kind of angled in the corner. And they had a little coffee table here, but my grandfather would sit on the far right, my grandmother on the far left, and I'd either be in the middle or I'd be on the floor in the middle playing my wrestling figures. And I wore out so many VHSs in front of her. She didn't care what was on. She always just loved watching wrestling.
Yeah.
Mania 10 with Brett and Owen.
Oh, yeah.
I watched that over and over again. Royal Rumble 95. A lot of WCW at the time. I think my grandmother liked Ric Flair and Sting. So she was really into that because they used to get the bootleg pay-per-views, which I loved because it was good for my video collection of before tape trading. I even knew what tape trading was.
Yeah.
I had all the wrestling tapes from then before you had to get them at VHSs at Blockbuster. So it was rough. I'm glad we got to see her a few months ago.
I was going to say, I got to meet her. We got to see her.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, she had dementia.
Yeah.
And so when we found out, we made a trip immediately up to New Jersey. And I think that was really important. And I think, like, your mom has said it this way, like, you got to say goodbye, which is most important.
I was just happy she also knew it was still me, or, like, remembered me still.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that was probably, like, deep down, like, her soul was still there. Probably was really important for her, too. In, like, between then and now was, like, 2.5 months. And so maybe there was a piece of her that said, like, okay, my Stevie came back and I could let go.
You love calling me Stevie.
You are my little Stevie.
That's all I need is for the internet to start calling me Stevie.
Well, and you know what? It's so interesting because we also, week 3, spent a lot of time with my dad and my stepmom. And I, a couple years ago, got, like, deep into, I wanted to find out about my dad's family. And so my great-grandfather immigrated here from Sicily. And my dad doesn't know much about him. And so I was like, I'm going to take this upon myself to find everything out about Filippo Perazzo. And in the meantime, I started digging through your family and...
Digging through my family? You dig through my entire lineage?
Yes.
Because you're a psycho.
Yes. And Agnes immigrated here from Scotland.
Yes.
Yeah.
My grandmother from Scotland, my grandfather from Ukraine. And then they met in Scotland. And then they moved from Scotland all the way into... just going to go with the mic up. Little mic adjustment.
Yes.
We can talk out loud, Chuck. You don't have to just do hand signals. We can talk here. It's just us in this room and Oliver. But no, they immigrated from Scotland once they met to New York. My uncle was born in Scotland, and then once they came to New York, my dad was born, and then they moved to Rutherford, New Jersey.
Yeah.
So it's funny to see the lineage, but I know I have family still in Scotland and family in Ukraine, possibly still. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
can't go that far because it's also like records in Ukrainian or Russian or some language. And while I've been doing this, so last week we were at my dad's and my stepmom's, and we're talking about Filippo, and I was saying to my dad, like, I think, his naturalization records say his parents' names, and he says his mom's name was Rosa. It wasn't Angela. And you keep saying Angela. And he's like, no, Rosa makes sense. And I combed through, I put it into AI, and I combed through, like, how do you find Italian birth records? Well, everything's in Italian. And so I can read it so well. I couldn't speak it. Found so much going through that, where I found Filippo and Rosa. Then I found Rosa's parents, Domenico and Giuseppe. And then I found Filippo's parents, Sebastian.
What a set of names.
Yeah. What's crazy is the small village that they're from in Sicily. My mom's father, Anthony D'Alessandro, his family traces back to the same village in Sicily. So it's just, which I knew growing up, but like I never had the tangible proof, right?
And now you do.
And now I do. And there's also, like 14 last names in that little town in Sicily, that little village. So it does get hard when you could trace it that far back, because there's, Rosa Bonanno, was my great-grandmother. Or no, my great-great-grandmother.
Bonanno's a hell of a name.
Yeah, she must have had 17 siblings who then go on, and there's all these kids, so there's so many Bonannos, but there's only one Filippo Perazzo, so it made it really easy. I found his birth record, and it gives the street that
he was born on?
It gives the house address that they were born on, that gives the street. And so back then, I guess they were born in houses, and then he was proclaimed to the church, and they presented the child to the church. And so that's where the birth record comes from. But so now we have to plan a trip to Sicily, which I know we've talked about on here before. We can go to the exact street that my great-grandfather was born on.
Okay.
And it's a mission of mine to bring my dad there.
And you also found out that your grandfather was in the army.
Yes.
So that was also another cool thing.
You have gotten all of the credit for being a military guy in a military family. And I am also a military family. I wasn't a military gal, but...
You are now.
Absolutely not. I'm not taking credit here. I'm not... No false valor over here. Stolen valor.
Your spouse.
I am a military spouse. I'll take that. And I wear that badge proudly. But I knew that Filippo fought in World War I. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that my grandpa, Vic, fought in Korea. And so my dad showed us a picture, and we'll have to clip it in. But I have a picture of him in his uniform with Filippo.
Yeah, we're not going to use the picture of my grandma, Agnes, the one from South Carolina, Myrtle Beach.
You don't want to show everyone listening right up your grandmother's dress?
So, I don't know who took this photo. It's hilarious though, but when my parents moved down here in Florida by us, it was cool to just go through old photos, and there was a trip we took to South Carolina to Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
And we used to stop at south of the border, and I'm sure a lot of people that go that way know that landmark. That's where everybody stops to get cigarettes that are just cheaper and everything. My grandfather would buy a bunch there too. And so yeah, somebody's taking photos, and I'm flipping through, and it's my grandmother. She's laying on the bed, but facing like my grandfather. I forget who else. I think my mom was in the room. But whoever took the photo was right behind my grandmother. You can see straight up her dress.
Woo-hoo!
So as I'm flipping through, I'm like, well, there's my grandmother. I don't ever want to see that or expected to ever see that. So, but yeah.
I know. I'm so glad you got to see her properly, say goodbye, then go to the funeral, and I'm happy we could be there.
Yeah. It was a sad day, because even like after my uncle and my aunt Gail and everybody kind of walked away, I kind of had my own moment there too, which was nice. Got to say hi to my dad and my grandfather. Yeah. But it is weird. Like it's just me and my uncle left kind of on that side of things too. So I felt mad more for him that day, just because it's like he's the last of the Kupricks of that time frame. Like it just like he lost his brother, he lost his mom and his dad, and now it's just him.
Yeah.
he's 70 years old, and like his mind's probably thinking like, how long am I got left, like kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it just, I felt for him in that moment, and it was, I don't know, me and him never really had that relationship, so it was just kind of nice to spend the time with him, and hopefully we continue to work on the relationship. I know they just moved into a house and whatnot too up in Wayne. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel any type of way about your grandmother never getting to see you wrestle?
Yeah. Well, now she gets to watch me every day. But yeah, I wish like I could have had her front row, but I don't think she would have known, like even at the time too, like especially like I'd rather have see her around now of where my peak is, or even when I was world champion. Like if she got to be there for the world title match,
Yeah.
that would have been something cool, but she would have probably cussed out every Canadian in that entire building.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would have been something like a cool moment. But now, like I said, she's up above watching my dad and my gram and everybody that's ever supported me.
Yeah. No, I know. It was interesting too, because then we kind of went on our little cemetery. I keep
Twice
calling
now.
it cemetery tour.
Cemetery.
And it's so funny. I say this to everyone in like our personal lives, when they ask about like when we started dating and how we got together and stuff, and it's like how weirdly interconnected we are. And didn't even know it until it was like put our families in a room and they were getting Christmas dinner catered for my uncle and like, you know, so how close where your family's buried to where my family's buried.
Yeah. My parents.
North Arlington to Montclair.
Yeah, really
and it's like weird to say it was good because it was a funeral and it was sad, but it was like we got to, say goodbye to your grandmother, say hi to your dad, say hi to your grandpa.
We tried to find Graham, but...
Yeah, we tried to find your other grandma who is buried in the same cemetery, but it was, there was like 3 inches of snow on the ground. But then it was like a 10-minute drive to be able to see my grandma. And my grandma and my grandpa are buried in the same row as my grandmother's sister, as my great-grandparents, and my dad's grandparents, so Filippo and Angela, who was Filippo's wife, are buried in that same cemetery too. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of like we got to do like a little, we're saying hi to everybody. Mm-hmm. And like, I don't know, I got emotional because it was like, as we're like talking about starting a family and stuff, it's like, oh wow, like, and here's our family.
This is what it ends up
like,
being.
And we talked about it then too, and I've talked about it with Desiree's mom actually, and like my dad a little bit last week, where it was like, Christianity, you're supposed to believe that like heaven is where we all end up and then we get to be with God, and like I struggle with the idea of reincarnation, which I know maybe Christians don't believe in or Catholics don't believe in, of like, so I just like said a little prayer of like, okay, Graham, like whenever you're ready to come back and be our kid, like, come on, lady. Like, but it was emotional for me in that sense of like, I am very envious of people who like get to grow up with their grandparents, and I didn't get to. And so like I don't want to cry on camera, as I always do. But it was just like nice to be able to bring you there, and then also like have a moment of like, we're looking forward to the day we get to extend this lineage. Yeah.
And not be the last of the bloodline.
Yeah.
So, but it was a good way to say goodbye. But then obviously the week after, we were originally planning to see my grandmother until she passed.
Yeah.
To plan that before we went to steak and wine night.
Oh my gosh.
But it just so happened in the following week we go up to New York for steak and wine night.
Yes.
Which was one hell of a night.
Excuse me, we're not skipping over my big moment, are we?
What's your big? Oh, never mind. We are. I'm sorry. Oof. Should I leave? Should I leave?
Skipped over my big speech.
Political step in politics.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. But no, you went and defended your school.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about it on the podcast
you
before.
Post enough about it too lately.
I post a ton about it. Well, okay, so
as you should though, because you're fighting for it. You're standing up for what you believe in your hometown.
Well, I feel like so my hometown, Jefferson Township.
Let's make this a short story. I'm not going to get into
the whole thing, but the New Jersey state funding formula is messed up. It doesn't work. It's not conducive to towns like the town I grew up in that has a lot of protected land.
Yes.
Because we supply water to over 70% of New Jerseyans. And so the tax base can't grow, which then means, no new businesses, no new homes can be built, no new families, no new kids, so our enrollment's down. And then the state funding formula is based on enrollment. So it's really not fair. And within the legislation that deals with the protected land, we're entitled to compensation for that type of enrollment discrepancy.
And that hasn't happened.
And they've been fighting for years, and finally they said, enough's enough. And when I got involved, then they were like, we're planning a rally. We'd love for you to be there. So I made sure I was off work. It was also my nephew's birthday, so I kind of got to piggyback both of those things. But I got to speak at the rally, and oh my gosh, I was so nervous.
I'm sure we'll clip that in here.
We definitely can. There's tons of clips. But it was like the perfect momentum. And to relate it to wrestling, I feel like when you kind of have steam, you have steam right now. You're on a roll. You don't want to let that go. And I feel like the rally gave so much great content and context to the Highlands Impact Aid Now movement that is stirring in Jefferson and the Highlands communities that I grew up in. And so, yeah, I've been like fighting tooth and nail. But I don't think childhood education is a partisan issue. So it's not me saying, like, I'm on the right or the left. It's like, I care about the childhood education in the state of New Jersey, and I'm going to speak about that, especially when sports are in jeopardy.
Being affected.
And so, yeah, I mean, don't skip over my big moment.
I'm so sorry.
My political step out. You say I'm going to be the governor of Florida, but maybe we're going to have to move back to New Jersey.
We are not moving back to New Jersey. I promise you that. I'm not moving to that tax stated.
Let's be honest. If I asked you to do it, you would do it. So stop lying.
I would
to
not be
people.
very happy about it.
It was really cool. I got super emotional. It was so funny. I was sitting on stage and there's like Senator Bucco and like Mayor Will Susan, who was like, I think a cop in town when I was young. And like, I could see in the audience, like parents from like that I knew growing up or were like, you know, associated with the cheerleading team. And like, I could see them and then they played my entrance music for me to walk up to the stage. And
of course they did.
I just had this moment of like, oh my God, like I graduated in this gym. Like I played sports in this gym. This was my gym class. Was like
Probably had pep rallies there too.
Pep rallies, all the things. And it was just like, it took me back and I was like, I had tears in my eyes, which everyone in this room knows I'm a big baby. Like I actually am very emotional and cry a lot. But I was like, I think I said like, I didn't expect to get emotional. Like, let me compose myself here. I wanted it to be good because I know that, like, out of everyone fighting for this movement, like, yeah, there's senators and there's assembly people and there was representatives from, you know, the state legislature, but, like, I have that social media following. So I have the ability to, like, really make an impact here and keep this momentum flowing. So that's why I'm using my social media. Okay. And it feels really good. And
it's good to see you in that varsity jacket.
Proud to do. Oh, you're such a pig.
God, we were a hell of a couple in high school.
You have yours upstairs. I left mine at my dad's house, though.
You can put it on later.
I left it at my dad's house.
Mine. Oh. You can put on later.
Yes, we were like the stereotypical high school. Yeah. We would have been the stereotypical high school couple.
Probably.
Yeah. Well, definitely. I was captain of the cheerleading team.
I was captain of the football team.
We were the most two popular kids in school.
I wouldn't say I was the most popular.
No, I definitely wasn't the most popular.
I don't think I ever cared about popularity really in high school. I just kind of went out and I didn't like school. I liked playing sports. And yeah. That was my hometown.
Well, that's why the fight for the Highlands is so important. Sports. It's funny. I was one of the videographers, and it's called CM Productions. I went to high school with. He was in my grade, Curtis Makoviak, and he was there filming, and we were talking off camera, and I was just kind of like, you played sports or you did heroin? Like, those were your two options in the town I grew up in, and so, like, you know, that's horrible to say, but that's the truth. So when that's at risk, it's like, you know.
Well, even in some districts too, like sports is the outlet for people to get out of an area. So like if you're eliminating that, then you're eliminating somebody's progress in life.
Yeah.
To better in society in general, because sports isn't just about sports. It's learning the team aspect, learning how to be a family, a brotherhood, a sisterhood.
Yeah.
You learn how to work through a lot of failures. You and then the good moments too. You enjoy the good moments. But I remember a lot more of the failed moments in high school sports, from losing the state championship game. Yeah. Because it taught me like, okay, like it's okay to lose, but then it's like that prepares you on for life.
Yeah.
So if you're taking and now you're taking that away from kids.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of what I said in the speech. You know, like it was cool because in my gym there's banners that hang on the wall, and it's like
everybody has those.
Yeah, yeah.
Not just your gym.
Well, in my gym, personal achievements from people in sports and like whatever, but also like state championships, national championships, whatever. And so obviously we won the national championship my senior year, and so I pointed that out, and I said, you know, like. But my freshman year in high school, I didn't make the cheerleading team by one freaking point. It was a political move, no. But like that showed failure, you know, and I just tried to like give that full picture of like, I didn't make the cheerleading team, so I ran track instead, and I did statistics for the softball team, and, you know, like, then how did I bounce back, because I did make the cheerleading team the second year. So yeah, it was like, I worked out in the weight room because I thought like, well, wrestlers lift weights and I'm gonna be a wrestler, and, you know, so like, when you take those away, you potentially took away a kid who might be a 6-time world champion one day. And so, you know, yeah, it's important. But I was so happy to do that on the same weekend. Now we could talk about steak and wine night.
But I was going to say, or governor of Florida, too, and not just a 6-time world champion.
Governor of New Jersey.
Governor of Florida.
I feel like I got like 6 months left in my master's, so who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Knock on wood. But steak and wine night.
Steak and wine night was so fun. It benefits Tunnel to Towers. It's run through Mike and Josh Letton, who are
It's the 4th annual, right? Yeah.
4th?
Or was it the 4th? No, it was the 5th this year.
5th annual? We got those challenge coins up there.
Let's see.
It's this one.
That is the new one, yeah.
Yeah. Josh and Mike run the Heroes Cup. They're also our partners for Battle for the Brave,
Which is June
Race
6th.
for Heroes, which, as we talk, is about 90 days away. So how are you feeling about your promoter boots?
Pretty good, actually. We've been announcing matches. We're announcing talent. Tickets are selling out pretty well, which I'm excited about. We only have general admission. We're still looking for sponsorship, so if you're paying attention, you want to sponsor the show, local talent, a match, turnbuckle pads, ring aprons, get your logo out there for us. It'd be great.
Yeah, I think that's been the hardest thing. And because it's a charity show, so like obviously we want to keep our expenses low.
Yes.
Bring in sponsors so more money can go to Tunnel to Towers. In turn, more money can go to our first responders and our Gold Star families. That's been the hardest part, is like messaging companies, following up, sending inquiries of would you be interested, and like not hearing back. And then also having to like double back of like, just wanted to follow up. I think that's been the hardest, most unexpected thing for me.
Yeah, well, you do the logistics. I just kind of
here and look
sit and look
handsome.
pretty, and I make the phone calls and ask for the favors that need to be done.
Everyone though, our wrestling friends and the entire wrestling community, I think when we went into this and everything with Tunnel to Towers, you know, to be honest, I think we were kind of like, oh, like, how's the wrestling community going to feel about this? And, you know, supporting your country and being patriotic and being what we're about as a couple, and you especially, you know, as a veteran is about, is very controversial.
But you also don't want to divide your audience politically in the world. And it's like, we're entertainers, and that's our job, is to be an entertainer, so we don't have those political aspects. But when it comes to charity work, we find the charities that obviously fit our need. Yeah, but most align with us, and that's giving back to veterans and homeless vets. And
Hey guys, if this was a conversation you needed to hear today, let us know.
Like, subscribe, and leave us a review. Lace up your boots and join the conversation.
And we'll be talking to you.
so yeah, Frank Siller, who started the foundation for Tunnel to Towers after his brother Steven, is now giving tuition to anyone that's a first responder or veteran that has lost someone, and their children are now taken care of with college tuition.
Yeah.
And it's something really cool to be a part of. And for the past almost, 2 years that we've been together with them, since we even filmed the PSA, it's just been like a different new world for me to open my eyes to something outside of pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Which I think you
love.
somehow schemed. You
prayed
prayed it into the world.
I prayed it into.
But no, you think of things that fall into your lap, or you just kind of fall into, and that's kind of been my life, is where I fall into certain things. And it's like, I didn't fall into wrestling. I loved wrestling, but like, I got in a ring and I fell in love, but it was me taking those first steps of stepping through the ropes and seeing if I can do it. And then I was like, oh shit, I'm really good at this. Like basics and fundamentals and getting to know it, and then learning psychology, and then getting the reps. And it's just like, you fall in love with something. And then that's kind of what is going on right now, especially with being able to talk at Steak and Wine Night. It was, you were nervous that entire time for me of, what are you going to say?
Well,
don't cuss. Don't do this.
Don't curse. This is like, yeah, I think we got an email yesterday that said they raised, I think it was like $300,000. And so, you know, we're in a room with people who can put us in really great positions or not. And I wanted both of us to make a really great impression. And obviously that means that we're doing a great job for Mike and Josh, who have kind of bet on us a little bit.
Or
and
even T2T as well.
Yeah, and so I was more nervous of like what's gonna come out of your mouth because you don't like to plan ahead and like your brain moves faster than your mouth can move and but you were the rock star. And I feel like I'm so proud of you all the time. Like, and what I said, I meant it. I've tweeted it. I Instagrammed it. Like, you're the inspiration for all of this. Like, obviously, I grew up caring for our country. You know, I believe in our country. I believe in the goodness that's in it. And I have always supported our veterans and our first responders. But being married to a veteran took on a whole new life. And also, as we plan our post-wrestling lives, that is something that kind of, fell into our laps. I got the opportunity to work with Joanna, our great publicist, who asked me, what are your interests? Well, veteran advocacy is one of those. And so T2T loved that they could get wrestlers on board. It was a new avenue for them.
And we're Frank's wrestlers.
And so, I just know that it's not so much about me, it's about you. And I feel like so much of our lives is geared towards me. And so it's so nice to be able to like step back and just like watch you shine.
It was even cool that night though, then because I spoke, then Frank spoke, and then Frank spoke last. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you spoke,
but
and then
Josh spoke, which is kind of funny because I said that I was with 2nd Battalion 8th Marines, my entire background in my military side of things, in the Marine Corps, and then he got up and he said I was part of a sister company of 1-8.
Yeah.
And it's funny how much of a small world the military community is compared to same with wrestling and just a small world in general. There's always connections and God working in his mysterious ways of those invisible strings you like to talk about.
Yeah.
So it was cool for him to like tell his story and about how he got with his disability, his prosthetic, and how T2T took care of him. He's blind now, but like he's in the greatest of spirits.
Yeah.
He and I got to share a couple drinks, so it was really cool to just sit and just shoot this shit. And it was funny to find out that one of his senior Marines was my buddy Cook that I went to SOI with, and he and I became very close. He was a North Carolina kid, and it's just this small world. Is like, oh yeah, Cook was one of my senior machine gunners. And that's who we learned from. That's who trained him. So, like, you just take pride in that. It was like, oh, fuck yeah.
No, I do vicariously through you. And I feel like I have always known what my, like, post-wrestling path would be. I've been getting a bachelor's. I've been in school as long as we've been together. Like, have a bachelor's degree. I'm just
Nothing
about
wrong with that.
No, just about done with my master's, but I knew what my outside interests were. And I can talk about them passionately. I've done it a little bit too much on this podcast, but, no, I feel like it's really, I feel so much pride getting to experience that for you and getting to watch you dive into something. And I could tell you're passionate about it. And obviously, it's your community and the people that you are close with and have a brotherhood with. And, I loved it. And
that's
then
what I was telling Jim. I was like, this is my people in this room. It's all the cops. It's all
you're
the fire.
comfortable.
Like, it's just people that are willing to give up and sacrifice everything for their neighbor and the person next to them, whether they know them or not.
Yeah.
It's just that willingness to want to just, no matter what, protect somebody or care for someone. And that's just always been me, and that's who I am, and I've learned that. That's, like you said, my superpower.
Yeah.
To come to that term with that. But then it's also funny, we were taking a picture with all the Army guys who were part of the color guard, and the one major, he's like, how old are you? I was like, 38. He goes, I could still bring you back in. And I was just like, maybe.
To train the canines. I said train with the canines, but it's got to be in the contract that you will not deploy.
That's not a choice. But yeah.
Yeah, it was a really great night. You got up there and you said I'm going to have to get it on a thing and we're going to lay it across somewhere in this room.
We're going to put it up above our bed.
You laid down the lead.
Put that above our bed. That'd be perfect.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome. It's got to be a t-shirt. You got to bring it into wrestling.
At some point I will.
Yeah.
We lay down that lead.
You laid down that lead.
Never said that before in my entire life, but I think it was my way of censoring myself. Which was entertaining, but it got a pop from the room.
Oh, the room exploded. Frank exploded. I think it fired him up because his speech was like, Steve can't outdo me. I don't know if that's
stole
how I
the
felt.
show, I guess.
It was like awesome when you did say it.
It was fun though too, because I had a few drinks in me too that kind of calmed my nerves. The food was amazing.
Oh my goodness.
What's the name of the restaurant again?
We were at the Red Hook Cidery.
Yes.
Yeah, right on the water.
If you ever get a chance to go to it, please
Phenomenal.
experience it. It's right on the water. Statue of Liberty's there, and it's beautiful. And it was just We have a ton of good photos. A ton
Oh my
of
gosh,
good memories.
and we got to bring my dad and my stepmom.
Yeah.
And so it was also nice to like bring our parents into that world a little bit, but then also like watch them enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
Like I had so much fun just watching my dad chit chat and have drinks and like I don't know, get to just my dad is so not that guy. And like
He
I've
obviously
seen
is that
him
guy.
well, I've seen him be the center of attention twice. And it was on our wedding night and then he was the center of my attention at steak night because I just he's in the room with his people and people he aligns with and feels comfortable with and
He
like,
even had connections with some people there that he's worked with in the construction business.
Yeah.
It's just funny how
Yeah.
like, small world it is.
There was also a silent auction.
There was
Would
a
you
silent
like to show
auction.
everyone what you were gifted?
What was I gifted? Chuck's going to grab it for me so I don't knock this microphone over. But I now have in my possession 2 of my favorite football players ever of Jeremy Shockey signed jersey.
Now Chuck's stuck in the corner.
And now Chuck is stuck. If you want to get back into position, you can. But now I have a signed Lawrence Taylor jersey.
Yeah!
Which I am so very happy that I have because it's going to get mounted up there in a frame with the Jeremy Shockey jersey as well. So yes, I am very excited.
Yeah.
Thank you for that beautiful gift.
You're welcome. We walked in and we're looking at all the items and there was like a shotgun and Steve was like, oh, that's nice. And then there was like an old bottle of wine. There was a boxing glove that someone signed that Joanna bid on, but she got outbid and you kept eyeing that. And you were busy. Maybe you were talking to Josh. Maybe you were talking to the color guard people.
I was talking to a
I
bunch of
snuck
people
away
afterwards.
and there was someone who had the opening bid and I was right under and it was like whatever the increments were, I just went one up and they never came back to check, so we won it. And it was so funny because also the runners were like, well, we can just say you won. And I was like, no, I want to win it the right way. So, yeah, I was super excited to be able to give that to you.
Thank you.
But after wine night, honestly, last week was so crazy. Yeah, so it was like
we traveled around.
Saturday speak at my high school. Sunday was my nephew's birthday, so we did breakfast. Monday was steak night. Tuesday, we drove to Charlottesville, Virginia.
I drove us 6.5 hours.
Wait, I drove like
An hour.
2, maybe? 2. And we got to serve dinner to a men's shelter. And it was really fun. It was like different. Like I didn't kind of know what to expect. I've never done that before. But a friend asked us to do it because his brother works for the organization that
Hey, bud.
puts it on, and they serve dinner every night for 2 weeks in one location. And so they expected about 35 guys and other members of the church cooked dinner. It was a great
It was like a curry,
chicken
chicken
curry
and
rice, homemade meal, so good. And yeah, it was just nice to be able to give back in that way, in like a unique way.
Not even that, just talk to them too, because some of them were actual wrestling fans.
Yes.
So when you can kind of just escape, and that's what wrestling's always been for us, is like it's an escape, and that's the same for wrestling fans. Like you find what you're attracted to, and that's just like your way of kind of leaving the normal world. And here we are in a shelter at a church, and we're just shooting the shit about pro wrestling and not worrying about like life at all. So it's just kind of cool.
Yeah, and to give them a moment to not worry about life. Yeah, I loved it. I was so glad that we could make it work. And, obviously now that we're like connected with them, hopefully we can go back. But it was really interesting. We had this conversation Sunday after church. And church was all about like Easter's coming up and let's talk about the villains
Pontius Pilate.
of the Bible. Yeah. And like what can we see in ourselves in the villains of the Bible? And so it was really interesting because at the end of it they were kind of talking about like what kind of like, follower are you? Like what Jesus do you have? Are you like, is Jesus like your butler? And we were talking about afterwards, like, oh, I've never stopped and asked, like, how can I serve you? What do you need from me? And I feel like especially after this week, with school and Tunnel to Towers and then serving dinner, it was like, oh, I've never stopped to ask, but maybe I don't have to because I'm being put in these positions where I don't have to say, how can I help you, God? You're just giving me the opportunity to say yes.
You just follow in your heart and you do what you think's right, whether if you believe in that or not. Like,
Yeah.
It's just you're trying to help out your fellow neighbor.
Yeah. And I just had this like realization of like, oh yeah, I've never stopped to ask, but like maybe it's because I'm taking all the opportunities that he would ask me to do anyway.
We don't really say no anyway, or you do to me. But I don't really ever say no to a lot of things, just because if it's usually coming from somebody that's close, what do you need?
Yeah. Oh my
That's how I've
gosh.
always been. Like even us going around DC to walk that day, it's just like, all right, well, let's make a trip out of this too and take advantage. We're by DC. We haven't been there together, and we wanted to see some of the sights. I haven't been there since 8th grade.
Oh my gosh, and I've never been there. Yeah.
So it was really cool. You got to blush and cry towards looking at the White House.
Yeah.
Just because you want to touch the Resolute desk.
I just want to touch the Resolute desk just once.
Maybe one day.
No. Yeah. I think we don't say no. And especially if, like, it's a good friend, or I do feel like we're really good friends, not to, like, pat ourselves on the back, but I think when I love, and when, like, I care, I go hard and I'll do anything until you give me a reason not to, and then you're cut. Speaking of our little love.
He's been trying to get up here the whole time, guys. Sorry. I wasn't down here fondling my wiener.
Yeah, you were. What he's trying to do is get to the duck.
Yeah, he wants the duck. No duck for you, pal.
Yeah, it was a really good break for us, and we're so grateful to have been able to do it. I feel like we give so much of our personal lives to the wrestling community, and it was really nice that everyone was so accepting of us taking just a few weeks to, like, give 100% of ourselves.
They didn't really have a choice.
Well, you didn't have a choice, but they could say, like, F it, we're unfollowing them. F it, we're not gonna, and I know that when we come back with this episode, they're gonna be right back on board supporting us, and I'm grateful for that.
And now we have 3 new episodes after this one with all new guests.
Such great guests. But you're gonna have to stay tuned to find out.
So, click subscribe, leave a comment, leave us a review.
Lace up your boots and join the conversation.
And we'll be talking to you.
Hey guys, if you're enjoying Boots to Boots, let us know.
Lace up your boots and join the conversation.
Like, subscribe, leave us a comment,
And we'll be talking to you.